There are only two things that keep me up at night: deciding what the best key for guitar is, and actionable solutions for campaign finance reform. But I think I finally got it with the key of E. This is the official key of 2025. I'm going to talk to you why the key of E, I think I've finally settled on being the ultimate guitar key. Not that it's my favorite key, but it's super great for blues stuff. But some slap-down things that happen further down the neck that you can do in addition to maybe the first 4 frets on your guitar is what we're going to talk about today. So you may be noticing this is the first time I've used this guitar. Sweetwater sent me this. This is the Musicman Sabre HT. Grape Slushy Purple is the name of it. This is the sweetest guitar I've ever played in my life. I'll talk more about this later, but the key of E. First, what we're going to do is we're going to play this. I'm going to teach you how to play this, why this is important, and how you can incorporate this into any style of playing. But here's what we've got so far. So it may seem simple, it may seem difficult depending on what your level is, but anybody can do this from beginner, intermediate, advanced. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on the E on the A string. Okay, so this is an E note, happens to be the 7th fret on the A string. I think the key of E is such a great key for guitar, not only because E major is one of the first chords you learn, but the B and the E strings on top helping us out are very, very important. I talked a little bit about this in a previous video if you want to check that out. But what we're going to do is we're going to spell this chord out, okay? Right here. Now, this could be an adventuresome thing right here going into the meat of the guitar neck, but it's really just a very simple arpeggio. We're playing the same notes that are in this chord, this E major chord. Any combination of E, G sharp, and B will give you an E major chord. We're going to start here on the E, 7th fret of the A string. And then we're going to get up to the G sharp here, the 11th fret of the A string, right? G sharp, A. So now what I'm doing is I'm kind of hitting this E. I'm playing it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm sliding from 9 to 11. These are the notes in the E major scale, which maybe we'll talk a little bit more about. Don't worry about that. This is all about outlining the chord first. And then once we do that, the reason I'm using my ring finger to slide into the major third, that G sharp, is because it lines your pointer finger up with the 9th fret of the D string, which happens to be the 5th of the chord, which is a B. So here, 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 and then the octave, which is straight down, 9th fret of the G string, same note, an octave higher, gives us a E major chord, okay? Any combination, like I said, of E, G sharp, and B are going to give you that chord. What's really cool about doing it in this position, and this is going to be movable, we're going to show you how to play this in every key in case you don't agree with me. The E major is the best key of them all, is because it really lines you up in a cool way where you can incorporate the open stuff, which we can do later, with some of the more interesting things that are still in a very accessible part of the neck, okay? So here's our first part. There's our arpeggio. We're going to put a little sauce on it, make it a little more musical instead of an exercise. So 1, 2, 3, slide. And then we're going to do some very, very simple double stops. Now, where is this coming from, you might ask? Well, if you've ever learned the minor pentatonic scale position, this would be it. It would happen on the 9th fret in the key of E. This is a C sharp. C sharp would be the relative minor of the key of E. If that is confusing you, you don't even have to think about it. All you have to do is line up your pointer finger with the 9th fret and then do that minor pentatonic shape. 9, 12, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 12, 9, 12. And then anything is fair game in this position. And the cool thing about doing this is it kind of positions you in that 9th fret. Now again, this is true for any key, which we'll talk about later, but what I really like about this is now I can kind of get into these double stops. Double stops where I'm hitting 2 notes at the same time. I'm really essentially, the notes that I'm fingering are 9 to 11 on the G string, then the D string. Hammer on, go back to 9, hammer on, back to 9. But now if my pick hits the string behind it, so now I'm hitting G and B, and now I'm hitting D and G. That's a very kind of musical way to play through just notes of a very simple scale that you already know. So now we've got... Okay, now we're going to add 2 more chords after this. All right, so you with me so far? I know it's easy to get distracted by the neck on this guitar. So, little backstory about this. I've done so many videos with Sweetwater. They are my biggest sponsor by far. Huge shout out to everyone who's ever ordered anything through my Sweetwater affiliate link, which I have in the description. Anything you want to get, whether it's this guitar or anything else, I'll get credit for the sale. I'll get a small percentage of the sale, which doesn't cost you anything extra. So please use that. But because I did a great job last year, I was able to be like, hey, I kind of want an electric guitar, and they're like, pick out anything on the website. This is the one that I picked out, the Musicman Sabre HT. If you guys want maybe more information on the guitar, I can do a separate video just on why I picked this guitar out. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you guys are interested in. Sometimes guitar unboxings do great on my channel, sometimes they don't, so just asking you guys ahead of time. But I really love the necks on the Musicman guitars more than anything else, right? So we've got this double stop. And then I'm stuck here on the 9th fret. Everything kind of revolves around this 9th fret to the point that I can even kind of hold down the D, G, and B strings like an A major chord. And then when I do it on the 9th fret, it's really an E major chord that everything can revolve around. So when I do this, there are 2 ways to look at this, all right? What I'm doing is I'm getting my ring finger and my middle finger to hammer down 9 to 11 on the D string, 9 to 10 on the B string, and then I'm getting that G string 9th fret, the exact, that's just staying open, right? Now, there are 2 ways to look at this, like I said. One way is if you've ever played a minor 7 chord voicing. Every time I play minor 7, I do a hammer on, like that, right? Where I'm barring the 9th fret, but my root note is the A string. Now, if I'm not playing the A string and I just do this, this right here is an inversion of this. A D major shape right here happens to be an A major chord. So when I go to the 9th fret, which is E, and I hammer on like this, and I don't get that A string in it, this is really an A major chord, or the 4 chord in the key. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, right? And then the 5 chord would just be 2 frets high, higher than that. Okay, so that's kind of like a fun way to maybe get the 4 chord to the 5 chord. Okay, so altogether that would be, if I start again on the 1, the A string, 7th fret E, A, B. That's a much more kind of fluid, elegant way to play E, A, B. Okay, now again, this isn't a better or worse way to play open E major, A major, B major, but it's a much different way in a totally different spot of the neck that I think really kind of opens up the entire neck of the guitar, which is something that's really interesting. We can get maybe something that is the same vibe as this, just in open land. Again, these are essentially the same notes an octave lower, where I go 4 to 6. If I want to double stop it, I'd have to compensate. But I think it's just easier doing it in the minor pentatonic spot. It just has like a cool ring to it, right? And then really, just by the movement of one finger, you can make this either the 4 chord to the 5 chord, or the 2 chord to the 3 chord. Okay, so usually these are minor chords, right? This would be F sharp minor and G sharp minor, E, G sharp, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, the 1 chord to the 2 chord to the 3 chord, or the 1 chord to the 2 chord to the 3 chord. And that sounds kind of fancy, right? But it's the same thing. And the reason I wanted to highlight that is because if we have, like I said, the difference between that hammer-on to get to either A major or F sharp minor 7 is really almost kind of like how you interpret the chord just by hitting that A string or not. And then if you kind of look at the lower version of that, well, here's A major, right? You can thumb over, which is again one of the reasons I love the Musicman necks, is because they're so comfortable to play. I'm not a huge thumb over the top guy, but it's so easy on the Musicman necks that it's almost stupid not to. A major with the F sharp in the bass is the F sharp minor 7. I actually usually play it like this. Same thing with the G sharp, right? So E, 4, 5, E, 2, 3. And that's like, okay, well, this is really interesting now, because it's like, in my mind, the 4 and the 5 chord and the 2 and the 3 chord can almost be interchangeable from a playing standpoint of where your mind's eye sees the fretboard. And again, this is true in any key. One of the reasons that I really love this is because with acoustic guitar, where I'm maybe like singing and accompanying myself, I'll have it tuned down aggressively just to kind of get to keys that I know that I can sing better in. The nice thing about this is, like, if I want to play in F sharp, I can, like, you know, kind of use maybe clunkier chords up here. Or I can just be like, all right, same thing, 2 frets higher. Here's my F sharp. And there's my 4 and my 5 chord, or my 2 and my 3 chord. So really, by doing one move, you're populating your entire chord vocabulary in ways that maybe you wouldn't have thought if you're just, like, learning chord scales, right, in different ways, right? Another way that's really fun, I think, is to take these little things and then maybe slide them into higher chord voicings. My favorite chord voicing in any key is the 4 chord is a major 7, A string rooted. Okay, so in this key, E, F sharp, G sharp, A is the 4 chord. So we can do this. Open position would be open A, 2D, 1G, 2B. I can go an octave higher and get 12, 14, 13. And that's like a really easy, fluid move that I can do in any position. And again, right there, that was kind of like, wow, I just covered so much ground just by going the 1 chord to the 4 chord to the 5 chord into the arpeggio, double stop into the 4 chord again, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then maybe ending home on E. So I think one of the best ways to really understand the entire fretboard is to make some kind of connection in any of your playing, no matter what kind of style you're doing it. You could just be doing a regular E7 blues shuffle. And then we go to B, A, E7. And it's like, all right, well, I know that that's one thing that I can do. And then maybe it's like, all right, I'm doing this little like low open E, 2A, 4A, 5A. And then from that, I can just get it into that 9th fret. And then start doing the double stops from what is traditionally a totally different style, right? I'm not playing like the E minor pentatonic blues thing. I'm playing the natural minor, which would be C sharp. I know that because I did that little kind of bluesy style, but still diatonic would be the word for that. All these vocab words are thrown at you. It doesn't really matter. The only vocab words that you need to know is the grape slushy is the name of the finish on this guitar. Like, this is not enough purple in the world. And again, this is just awesome. One of the reasons I really like this guitar too is the bridge is like perfect for palm muting. It's like so easy to do that it just really suits my playing style very, 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 very nicely. So again, just like a lot of things to kind of maybe consider. Super, super easy to move these things around. Let's just go to D real quick. Or maybe no, let's go to C. Everybody kind of, thinks of C major as like, 1, 4, 5 is C major, F major, G major. Same thing with C. Instead of playing C to the the 4 chord, to the 5 chord. We could go C. And like that's a really interesting way to play maybe a F major to G major. And then kind of make the connection like, all right, all of that is really just launching off the 5th fret, C major. And if you think of that as being a minor pentatonic, that's fine. If you think of that as being where your pinky, your ring fingers sit in a A string rooted C major chord voicing, that's fine. If you think of just using an arpeggio to get this spot into your double stops, into the 4/5 chord, that's fine. If you think of that, this is a minor 7 to the 2/3 chord, that's also fine. All that matters is you're actually playing the guitar fluidly throughout the neck in ways that maybe you haven't considered before. So anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you to Sweetwater for sending this over. Like I said, if you guys have any questions about this guitar and why out of all the guitars available on the website, this is the one that I picked, please let me know in the comments. And like I said, anything you get, please use consider using my Sweetwater affiliate link, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks a lot.